Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today we're going to talk about some Peter Capaldi. And my question is, which story do you think in each of his seasons is the most underrated of that season? So seasons 8, or series I should say, Series 8, Series 9, and Series 10. Which story do you think is the most underrated? For me, on Series 8, I'm going to say Time Heist. Because while it's not my favorite of the season, my favorites are more Mummy and Flatline. Those stories seem to be held in pretty high regard. Whereas Time Heist, I feel like I don't hear enough about. And I really enjoy Time Heist. It's kind of Ocean's 11 meets Doctor Who, and it does that really well. Plus, I like the bit where they put in the little memory worm. So even they don't quite know why they're there, who they're taking instructions from, and what the whole point of the caper is. Excuse me. I enjoy that. I like Capaldi in this one. I enjoy him and Clara in this one. I like the guest cast. That's the rest of their crew in this one. They're all nice and inventive characters. And then I enjoy the ending when you find out who it is that gathered them all together. I just think it's a fun episode, and I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough because I do kind of like the Ocean's 11 style stuff. It's a little burned out on me now, but I did love the original Ocean's 11. Well, I shouldn't say original, but the George Clooney Ocean's 11 movies, when they were coming out, I liked them a lot. And when Time Heist first came out, I really enjoyed it because it was just a lot of fun to watch. Series 9, I'm probably going to say Sleep No More because I don't really like most of Series 9. I like the late two-parter, and I love Heaven Sent. And then having just recently rewatched Sleep No More recently, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot better than the first time I'd seen it, where I remember I didn't like it. I used to talk so much crap about Sleep No More, but I actually found it really enjoyable. I think people who haven't watched it in a while, people who didn't care for it, probably should give it a rewatch. Not in the course of the whole series, but just by itself, just pick it at random. Well, I won't say random, but just watch that story and, in a bubble by itself, not in context with the rest of the season. It works really well because it's a really good standalone story. It's not really a part of the main serialized arc that's going on. It's just its own little, bookended story, which I like. Doctor Who doesn't do that much in the modern series, so I like that. I enjoyed it. I thought the found footage angle worked really well here, especially how it was a plot point of the story, really. And then I like the creatures. I love when Doctor Who takes something ordinary and makes it dangerous and deadly. The sleep in the corner of your eye when you wake up in the morning, turning into a carnivorous creature. I love that. I think that's an ingenious idea I would have never thought of. And I think it's utilized pretty decently here. So while I'm not saying it's like top tier Doctor Who, I am saying it's one of my favorites of this series. And probably the most underrated of the series for me. And for Series 10, that's a little tricky. It would either be, I'd say, Extremis or Thin Ice. Because I like Extremis. I don't love Extremis, but I like Extremis. It has a lot of really good ideas going on in it that I really enjoy that aren't executed perfectly, but I like them. But that's the only part of it, that whole Monk trilogy I like. I like Extremis. I hate the other two parts. I don't even remember the name of them. The World at the End of the Pyramid or whatever. But I don't like them, which is interesting because me and one of my subscribers and one of my patrons, actually, Michael, we tend to be on the same page about things usually. Like a lot of times we have this very similar opinions about stuff. We're usually on the same page, the same paragraph, the same sentence. And he actually really likes this trilogy. So it's really interesting when I found that out because it's very rare for us to really have that much of a difference on opinion on stories, which I found pretty neat actually because we usually are pretty on the same page. But I don't really get into this one, especially parts 2 and 3. I just find them uninteresting. I find them boring. Him and I are in agreement that you probably could have taken part 2 and part 3 and combined them into one episode. But Extremis I like, and I know there are a lot of people who hate that entire trilogy. So I think Extremis might be underrated there because I do think it's good. Not great, but good. But on the other hand, I don't hear as much about Thin Ice either, and I love Thin Ice. I think Thin Ice is a great episode. It's probably my second favorite Capaldi episode after Heaven Sent, because Heaven Sent's amazing. But it's probably my number 2 on my Capaldi list. I think the BBC does historicals really well. The way they do the costume design, the set design, the BBC is really good at that. So I tend to enjoy when Doctor Who goes into the past, because the BBC does that so well. And everything in this episode, the set, the time period, it really does convince you that you're there in that time period. And the whole episode looks beautiful. The way it looks in the winter, the way the costumes look. I enjoy the way the story's written, with Bill kind of finding out about the Doctor, that whole scene about, well, have you seen someone die? Have you ever killed anyone? Doesn't that bother you? And that bit where he's talking about, well, if I dwell on it, then other people die. Great speech. I like how he tells her, all right, we're going to handle this diplomatically, and then he ends up punching that other guy in the face. That's hilarious. I love that you actually see the one kid who just disappears beneath the ice, the one who was holding the screwdriver. Yeah, he got ate. The thing ate him. I like that Doctor Who went there with that, with a kid. I mean, we didn't quite see a kid die, but we saw a kid die. I like when Doctor Who is scary and when it kind of pushes boundaries like that. I think Doctor Who a lot of times is at its best when it's being scary. I think that's one of the reasons why the Hinchcliffe era is remembered so well, because it dealt with the horror and stuff like that really well. I think scary episodes of Doctor Who are popular for a reason, like Blink and Midnight and stuff like that. Web of Fear. Think how often the kind of scary themed episodes of Doctor Who are kind of the more famous, remembered ones. I think Doctor Who does that really well. So I enjoy when a little bit of that creeps into this one here, especially that bit with the kid running. You just see the hand drawn in. Thin Ice is just a really fun episode that I think it's probably held in pretty decent regard in the fandom. I don't really know what the fandom thinks of that story. I don't hear about it much. But like I said, it's my second favorite Capaldi episode. I think I'd put it at number 2. I really enjoy it. It's just really so good. Everything just kind of comes together with it perfectly. And I really like the Doctor and Bill together too. I think they make a good Doctor companion duo. I wish we'd had more of them. So that's probably the ones I think are most underrated in each season. I'd like to know what you think of these stories and what you would put if you were ranking each story that was the most underrated for each of Capaldi's seasons. So comment down below and let me know what you guys think. I always enjoy hearing from you. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications if you don't mind doing so. I also have a Patreon if you would like to contribute to that. There is a link to that down below in the description if you'd like to help me out. Help me import all this fun Doctor Who stuff I like importing. Well, this stuff down here. This is the American versions of these. But I import this stuff. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.